Darkness, silence, a weight in the air, thick and oppressive, like the calm before an unimaginable storm. Imagine reading a passage so unsettling, so chilling, that even scholars and theologians hesitate before uttering its words aloud. A passage so enigmatic that its true meaning remains shrouded in mystery, lost in the echoes of time. What if I told you that within the sacred texts of the Bible, among the words of hope, redemption, and divine wisdom, there is a verse so terrifying, so incomprehensibly dark, that it has left believers and skeptics alike in stunned silence? Stay with me until the end, because once you hear this passage, you may never see the Bible the same way again. And I have to ask, have you ever come across this text before? Let me know in the comment. The Bible is filled with prophecies, divine judgments, and supernatural events, but some passages stand apart, radiating an aura of profound dread. One such verse, hidden deep within the scriptures, carries a warning so dire, so cryptic, that it feels as if it were written not just for ancient times, but for us for this very moment. What could be so terrifying, so beyond human comprehension, that it continues to unsettle even the most devout believers? To understand, we must go back far, back into the depths of history, to a time when the world was dark, when whispers of divine wrath spread through trembling voices, a time when those who heard these words understood that they were never meant for mortal ears. Some say this passage is a prophecy of a future catastrophe, one that is yet to unfold. Others believe it is a revelation of something hidden within humanity, itself something ancient, something waiting to be unleashed. And then there are those who dare to ask, could these words be the key to a mystery that has haunted mankind since the dawn of civilization? If you've ever felt that some parts of the Bible contain truths too overwhelming to fully grasp, you're not alone. But before we reveal this ominous verse, take a moment to think. Do you believe certain knowledge is too dangerous to possess? Would you dare to read something that could change your perception of reality forever? Comment below if you believe some knowledge is meant to remain hidden. The passage we are about to uncover is found in a book that many overlook. Yet it holds some of the most terrifying warnings ever recorded. A passage that hints at the abyss, at an existence beyond our understanding, at something watching, waiting, beyond the veil of our reality. It speaks of judgment, of fate sealed long before we were born. The weight of its words is suffocating, like a sentence already passed, like a door locking from the inside with no key in sight. Could this be a glimpse into something that not even the faithful were meant to know, something God Himself chose to veil in mystery? There are ancient texts, lost manuscripts, and apocryphal writings that were banned, hidden, or destroyed. But this passage, it remains, surviving the centuries, whispered among scholars, discussed in hushed tones among theologians who understand its implication. Those who have studied it claim that it speaks of an irreversible fate, of a point beyond redemption where even divine mercy cannot reach. A warning, a prophecy, or something far more sinister. If you're still watching, it means you are seeking answers, that you are not afraid to peer into the unknown. But I must warn you, what you are about to hear may shake the very foundations of what you believe. It may leave you questioning what you've always been told about faith, destiny, and the nature of divine justice. And if you're ready, comment, "I'm ready" below, because now we reveal the most sinister passage in the Bible. The passage in question is found in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. At first glance, it may seem like a simple warningish statement of divine authority. But when you truly grasp its weight, its full meaning, the terror within these words becomes undeniable. Consider this. The Bible speaks of God's mercy, His grace, His love for humanity. Yet here, we are not reminded of His compassion, but of something far more terrifying, His judgment. This verse suggests a fate so dreadful, so absolute, that there is no escape, no plea for mercy, no second chance. To fall into the hands of the living God is not a moment of peace or salvation, but one of inescapable reckoning. But why? What does this passage truly mean? Throughout Scripture, we find depictions of divine wrath judgments that befell entire civilizations, prophecies of destruction, warnings against sin. Yet this verse is different. It does not merely describe God's punishment upon the wicked. It speaks of something deeper, something far more personal. It is the moment when a soul stands before the divine presence, stripped of all excuses, all justifications, all defenses. It is the realization that one's fate is sealed, that there is no turning back. Can you imagine that moment? A moment where the weight of every action, every choice, every sin is laid bare. If this passage unsettles you, let me know in the comments. Many theologians believe this verse is a direct warning about the final judgment, the moment when humanity stands before God and is held accountable. Others argue that it speaks to a spiritual reality already unfolding, where those who reject divine mercy have unknowingly placed themselves beyond redemption. But there is another interpretation, one that is even more disturbing. Some ancient scholars suggest that this passage does not only apply to the wicked, it does not speak only of punishment, but of something far worse than eternal separation from God, a conscious, unending awareness of what has been lost. Imagine standing before the Almighty and realizing that you can never again be in His presence, that the hands you have fallen into are not hands of comfort, but of finality, a fate worse than death. Does this interpretation send chills down your spine? If so, comment chilling below. Perhaps this is why this verse remains one of the most haunting in all of Scripture. It is not a warning of earthly destruction. It is not a prophecy of things to come. It is a truth that exists outside of time, a glimpse into the reality of divine judgment. A verse that reminds us that no matter how we live, no matter the choices we make, one day we will stand before God. And when that moment comes, what will we see? Will His hands be open in welcome, or will they close around us in judgment? This is why many call Hebrews 10:31 the most sinister passage in the Bible. It is not just a warning, it is a reality waiting for every soul. And now, having heard its meaning, I leave you with a question. When that day comes, will you be ready? If you've made it this far, comment, "I will be ready" below. And let's continue this conversation. Until next time, choose wisely. The silence is deafening. The words echo across the centuries, carrying a weight so unbearable that even scholars hesitate to speak them aloud. The passage, buried within the ancient texts, is more than just ink on parchment. It is a warning, a revelation, a glimpse into something far darker than most dare to imagine. But what makes this passage so terrifying? What truth does it unveil that even believers shudder at its implications? Some say it is a prophecy that has yet to unfold. Others claim it is a truth so disturbing that its full meaning has been deliberately obscured over time. And a few believe that hidden within its lines lies the most unsettling secret of our message, meant not just for the people of the past, but for us here and now. As you listen to these words, ask yourself, have you ever encountered a verse in the Bible that made your heart race, that filled you with an unshakable unease? If so, you are not alone. Comment below if you've ever read a passage that left you feeling disturbed or unsettled. The text itself is shrouded in mystery, its meaning debated by theologians and scholars for generations. Some say it describes an event so catastrophic, so devastating, that its full impact has yet to be seen. Others insist it speaks of a punishment so severe that even the most devoted struggle to comprehend its justice. But there is one thing all interpretations agree on: this passage is unlike any other. It begins with a description so vivid, so haunting, that it feels as if it is being whispered through time. The imagery is stark figures standing in absolute darkness, their voices silenced, their souls suspended between judgment and oblivion. A voice, neither human nor divine, speaks of an irreversible fate, of doors locked from the inside, of a separation so final that even mercy no longer reaches. The text does not offer comfort. It does not leave room for negotiation. It simply states what is and what will be. Some claim this passage reveals the ultimate fate of those who reject salvation of fate, more terrifying than fire, more relentless than suffering. Others suggest that it hints at something deeper, something hidden within the very fabric of existence. But what if the truth is something else entirely? What if this passage is not just a warning, but a reflection, a mirror held up to humanity, showing us not just what lies ahead, but what already exists, just beyond the veil of perception? Think about that for a moment. What if the most terrifying thing about this passage is not what it predicts, but what it confirms? If that thought sends chills down your spine, you're not alone. Type "I'm listening" in the comments if you're still with me, because what comes next will change the way you see this passage forever. There is one word buried within the lines that theologians have debated for centuries, a word that, when fully understood, reveals the true weight of this passage. It is not a word of fire or torment or destruction. No, it is something far worse. It is the word that signifies absence, absence of light, absence of hope, absence of presence. It is the only place where even faith cannot reach. This passage describes a condition so absolute that even those who have walked the darkest paths cannot fully grasp it. It is not punishment in the way we understand it. It is not suffering in the way we imagine. It is something more, something final, something beyond appeal. And that is what makes it the most sinister text in the Bible. But the question remains, why was it written? Was it meant to warn us, to prepare us, or is it something else entirely? A glimpse into a reality so severe that even Scripture struggles to describe it. We may never fully understand its true meaning, but one thing is certain: once you have read this passage, it never leaves you. It lingers in the back of your mind, whispering its truth in the quiet moments, reminding you of something too vast to comprehend. So now I ask you, what do you believe? Do you think this passage is a prophecy yet to unfold, a warning of something beyond human comprehension? Or do you believe it is something even greater, something hidden in plain sight, waiting to be understood? Leave a comment with your thoughts, and if you've never heard of this passage before, let me know. And if this video made you see the Bible in a different light, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the most terrifying truths are often the ones we're least prepared to face. Want to hear more Bible stories? Then subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and share this video so more people can learn these stories.